I'm very excited to be back with another exciting episode of YOML, A Year of Magical Learning. Today we're on 173, Reflection 173. We finished the three-part series of Running with Sherman last week, so we're going to venture with a new book. Well, Chris, let us know what you have in mind.
Yeah, this one was a rare fiction book in the journey. This one's called The Midnight Library by the author Matt Haig. This is like one of those uber successful blockbuster kind of novels, like top sellers on the bestseller list. Like, how did this become this way? I don't know. It's just they'll probably make a movie out of it someday or something like that. I don't think the book was that good personally, but this is actually another book Felicia and I did together. So
Mm-hmm.
we were trying to find a compromise. Like, this is why fiction pops into here every once in a while. Later, it morphs into comedy books and things like that from comedians and stuff that are like comedy memoirs. We kept trying fiction books. We kept trying different things. And the whole point was to live our values. Actually, that's a part of the reflection. So I'll just actually jump right into it. So what is this book about? The reflection title for this one is Looking Backward Can Move Us Forward. So this book is about the Midnight Library. This lady named Nora Seed is the main character of this fiction novel, and she wants to kill herself. I mean, I'm not going to spoil this because it's a fiction novel. She kills herself. And when she kills herself, she goes to this place called the Midnight Library. Instead of dying, it's kind of like a purgatory. So in this Midnight Library, she has every book that she pulls off the shelf. It can be whatever life she wants it to be, and then she can go back and try to live it and try to find a better life if she wants to continue to live. So she explores a lot of different lives of, like past regrets and, like what if I had married this guy instead of this guy, or what if I had stayed swimming and became like an Olympic swimmer, or what if I had, it's like all the what ifs and it onlys and if onlys, like, from the power of regret, right? She gets to go explore these things and figure out if life's worth living, I guess, with, if her regrets were different or if her life was different or something like that. So I won't ruin the ending. Well, I guess I will. I mean, because I'll probably end up ruining it in the reflection, but anyway, so
It's
that's
all
what the
right.
yeah, so that's what the book's about. It's about that's why it's called the Midnight Library. The Midnight Library is
I
kind of
mean,
like,
how can you learn from the book unless you know what is going on, right?
yeah, that's true.
So
Uh,
it's going to be hard to understand the reflection if you don't give away the essence of what the book is about. And so I
so
think, for the sake of the lessons we can learn from this, I think you're gonna have to spoil it.
yeah, yeah, I think, and I did in the reflection. Now that I think about it, though, it's like that's if this entire journey was all fiction books, this would probably be a bad journey. People would be like, man, I don't want you to ruin every fiction book for me, Like nonfiction, you don't really care because you're like, oh, beavers must dam. Like, I get it. Okay. Like I'll check it out myself because I want to learn about beavers some more. Some aha, where it's like, oh shit. Like, no, it's you're just learning about beavers, like there's a million different things that we didn't touch on. This is a fiction book though. So I'll start this reflection off with my wife. At this time when I wrote this one, this was the 12th book that my wife and I had finished. I think we're probably on 20 to 25 now or something like that, over the past year and a half since we started this walking, during the spring, summer and falls, outside, like listening to a book with Luca and
Mm-hmm.
or just walking by ourselves before Luca got here, where we're listening to an audiobook. So it's kind of cool to talk about the compound effect. I wrote in the this reflection, we're officially that weird couple that people walk by and we're have a little Bluetooth speaker and we're playing an audio book as we like are walking around the park, and I have to feel like people are probably, when they walk by us, are probably like, what the hell, like they're the weird people, like, oh, here comes the people that are always listening to an audio book, like it's it's weird, you know what I mean, like most people just like, I don't know, it is unique and weird, but then I for me it's funny because when you're living your values sometimes, and it is counterculture. Like, you're put into a box with everybody expects you to do whatever they want you to do and whatever society, values and norms and rules are out there. When you live a life of intentionally trying to live your values and bring that out in what you do, this is the random weird shit that ends up happening where people are like, they're the weird people. And I'm like, no, you guys are the weird people. Like, we're just doing what we want to do, like, and expressing ourselves and enjoying our lives, and doing stuff that we enjoy and makes us happy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you guys are the ones that are silently walking with your head down around the park. So, but beyond that, Nora Seed, as I was talking about, is the main character of this novel, and she is stuck in her life, and she, talk about living your values. She's unsuccessfully tried to seek validation from the outside world that her life had value in the beginning of the book, and she decided that her value was so meaningless in this world based off of the outcomes that she was experiencing, where her job sucked, her love life sucked, her career ambitions, her education, everything she wanted to do previously in her life and had set out goals for, just all sucked. And she was just like, you know what? I don't think my life has value. So she tried to kill herself. But, lucky for her, she ended up at the Midnight Library and she got a chance to go redo where she could say, okay, fine. Do you want a chance at life? And she was like, sure, if only I could have done this, or maybe I could go back and explore my past regrets. So she would go pull a book off the shelf and she would say, I regret when I quit swimming because I was really good at it, but I stopped because of whatever. What if I would have dedicated myself to it? Then she would see how her life would play out. What if I stopped dating this guy and started dating this guy that I had met this one time? And what would life have looked like with him? And she gets to play that out, or what if I had traveled to the Antarctic to go do archaeological or like oceanography studies or whatever, some of the stuff she was passionate about at one point in time, like what would that look like? So she kept going through these different scenarios and she would pull a new book off the shelf and live that new life. And every single time that she would do it, something bad would happen. These if onlys and these regrets, that in her mind was like, well, if only I would have done that, or if I hadn't have done this, like everything would have been different. Well, truth is it wasn't. She was always found a way to be unhappy in every one of these lives, and took her life after life after life of trying to live again to realize, maybe it's not the scenarios of life that was going on. Maybe it was her kind of thing. So ironically, it all goes back to where this journey started at the very beginning with The Alchemist, where Nora decides to go back to her original timeline and she decides to take ownership of her own life and her own story and her own future by trying her to be herself and bring that out in her original life, because it doesn't really matter what the circumstances are. She's got to figure out a way to be happy in whatever she's given and to be happy with herself. So this actually reminds me of The Power of Regret, the book that we did, book Reflection 134, The Power of Regret. And he looks at, the if onlys and the what ifs, and how powerful the idea of regret can be, of telling a different story, so Daniel Pink talks about how we are the authors and the actors of our own life, right? So we can create a new story for our future self and the possibilities are really endless, but you have to do it by exploring the past, right? You have to go back and figure out, how did I get here? What can I change? And what did I learn about myself? And then use that insight to propel your purpose forward. That's the gist of the reflection of looking backward can help us move forward, by going to examine those if only past regrets and if onlys and what ifs. You can find those nuggets, those values, those things you really care about, like the little, like we call it the little Triforce, and Zelda, where they're like lifted up and they're like, oh my God, I found this value and this regret, and you can, use that to add another little piece of the puzzle of who you are and how you can best express yourself to navigate this world, because it's hard sometimes, and you never know what you're going to get, but like nothing's ever going to be perfect, and use the past to power us forward. That's it. That's what I learned from this one. Yeah, what do you think?
So what happens to her?
She goes back to her life. She goes back to her original life. No, so the Midnight Library is purgatory. She didn't die. So like she killed herself in her original timeline, but she didn't. When she went to the afterlife, she actually went to this holding room called the Midnight Library. She never actually fully died. She was like in a weird purgatory where she had the option to jump back and forth into different lives, and at the end, she chose her own timeline again because she realized.
So completely different life, like somebody else's life?
Her in someone else's timeline. It's like if you had infinite possibilities of scenarios that could play out, your life could play out. Like,
but it's her timeline. It is that she gets to take the left fork of the road or the right fork of the road, right?
Yeah. So like, let's say that I said, you know how we were just talking right before this about starting a pickleball club? Like, what if I killed myself and I was like, man, if only I would have started that pickleball club. Like, I know I would have been happy then, like I would have, who knows, I would have maybe had a successful life. And then she'd pick up the book and she would start that life again. And then her life would play forward from there. Like, she would have a new family. She would have children. She would have whatever in this life. And then she would, that's how then she would decide if she wanted to keep it or not.
So in the end, when she go back to her original timeline, make the same decision she made before, right? Whether she quit swimming, right? So she still quit swimming.
Yes.
So what happened going forward from the point that she killed herself?
It went back to before she killed herself, when she went back to her original timeline and she chose not to kill herself.
Where she's still alive, and what was
this is who I am, this is who I want to be, and this is how I'm going to live my life, and I'm just happy and content with that, and I'm going to go down that road, and with a different perspective, going like nothing's ever going to be perfect.
To me, this book sounds to me like, eat the frog part of breakfast kind of deal. It's like, hey, rise, grind, and repeat. I
said it wasn't my favorite either. I mean, to be
fair,
because
that's to me is the gist of what I'm getting out of this, right? Because be happy with what you got.
No, it's like The Alchemist. It's like, you can go explore all.
No, to me, it's a fine line between be happy with what you got, right, and be able to see, right, who you are truly inside. Because I can say, well, I've got this, right? This is who I am. I'm going to be this idiot that doesn't know shit, right? And this is who I am. So what the fuck would I start learning? What the fuck would I challenge myself? What the fuck would I do any of these things? To me, there's a fine line between accepting who you are, right? Mm-hmm. And knowing who you are.
Yeah, no, right? I agree.
The thing is, when you don't know who you are is defined by somebody else. It's an external validation. Say, hey, Chris, you should be, an A student. You should be this white guy, blah, 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 and be that. Or you say, hey, Chris, I'm a tennis player, right? I'm a writer, right? You define your own self, right? That's a true self, knowing yourself versus being who you are. Who you are is what defines you. So either people defines you or you define yourself. And to me, that carries the perspective. For me, that's what I'm saying is, does it overlap? Yes, it's overlap a lot from the two perspectives. Because the thing is, you got to be happy with what you got and who you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's not the essence of what I think what humanity is about. Right? Because like I said, I can be put into a place where I was told to eat the frog. And I said, well, I'm in this place where, well, this is who I am now because I've been here for the longest time. And I can say, well, yeah, I need to be happy with it. I need to be happy with eating the frog. I need to be happy with embracing suck. And to me, that looks like the society of today. Yeah. So to me, so it's a little bit confusing.
It doesn't give you a compass going forward. It just gives you a reason to be happy now.
Like to me, to be happy, to force yourself to be happy, is not the right way.
I don't know that it was. I don't know that she was forced.
Well, you to be happy. I think you told yourself that's
nothing perfect.
Well, that's the thing is, if you tell that nothing's perfect, then the reality is that nothing's perfect. Because, like I said, if you think you can, if you think you can't, you're also right. That's the premise we talked about in the past, right? From the perspective of embracing the suck and who you are and be content with what you got, right? And it could be overlapping 80% of what we talk about in terms of find out who you are and be that person. But it overlaps almost to the point where it's almost exactly alike, but it's different. So you can say, well, my right hand and my left hand, it looks exactly alike, but are they alike? It depends on the perspective, right? Solutions to be, say, you should own up to your whatever you got, whether that's you're fat, you're ugly, right? There's nothing I can do about it. I can just embrace the suck and say, if people hate me, let them hate me. If people torture me, let people torture me. To me, I'm liking it.
You're diving into the story of the actual book itself. I think my reflection was more about going to explore your what ifs and if onlys has the ability to unlock a lot of your identity of what you really care about. It's kind of what I was getting at, and to really power that path forward. By going, why did that really stick in my craw to know that I didn't start that I didn't give, like, for instance, tennis. Tennis is a really important part of my life, right? Like, and it's always been. So I've been playing since I was like 5 years old. A lot of times when there's been many a times in my adult life where I've said, man, if only I would have taken tennis as seriously when I was younger and at the kind of more of the peak of my abilities and time that I had to go play, unending people and resources to go play as a youth in high school or growing up. Like, man, what could have been? Because now my powers of tennis only grow and get better all the time, but I'm also in my late 30s now, and I mean, a part of me used to think like before, like Amelia, man, if only I was taking this more seriously when I was younger. I wonder what I could have.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword, because my past can help me move forward, but my past can also anchor me to the point where I can't move forward.
Agreed. That was what I was going to say, is what my reflection was about is I've stopped doing that. And I was like, what did I even love about tennis in the first place? Take that and do that. Don't worry about if it's tennis or not. What did I love about tennis? Or what did I love about,
Right. So that's what I'm saying is, it's a double-edged sword. So you have to have
I don't need tennis to be
happy. Well, the thing is, so let's take the scenario of where we're talking about like your past, looking backward can move you forward, right?
Right.
Because that in itself is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, you cannot use the sword directly. You have to have training before you use the sword. So you cannot use the past, right, for whatever you need to do to improve your future. You have to have training first. And to me, training meaning go back and do self-reflection first.
Yes.
Then go back and do the past, because you can take it, well, that piece of the past for me. And so to me, looking backward can move you forward only if you use it correctly.
Agreed. I was going to pull up my notes from The Power of Regret. So his thing of what do you do, right? It's self-disclosure. It's get it out in the world. I didn't take it seriously when I was younger. I should have. And then it's self-compassion. It's going normalize and neutralize. So look at things like you would tell other people, like, it's okay. At the end of the world, I didn't take tennis more seriously.
But the thing is, if to me, no one knows, right? No one knows, even if you take it seriously, no one knows if it make it a different, right? And even if it's different, it's going to be to your liking. And so for me, it's one of those things where you can be walking, right, and have no idea where you're heading.
Right.
But the question we asked before is, if you're following this little lineless footprint, how do you feel? Do you feel you're on the right path? To me, that's the only thing you know at that point in time. Even if you say, I have this power with regret, I can guarantee you can ask anyone rhetorically, anyone, is there anything that you regret doing or you would like to change? Everybody would. That's just the way the mind works.
Right.
Everybody 100% go
I love my kids more.
Pursue this, pursue that, or I should have done this, I should have done that, or whatever. There's always that scenario where we second guess ourselves.
I should have quit my job,
or I should not have taken the job, right? I should stay, or whatever. But the thing is, no one knows what a single slight change in that decisions will turn out.
That's the whole point of the book was, every time she would jump into a new life, when something would tweak, something else would tweak and other things would tweak. And then all of a sudden her brother and her family isn't the same, or her dad died, or her beloved cat died that she loved so much in the original timeline. Or it was always that she liked about her life was now effed, and the stuff that she didn't like about her life may have changed, but it was always like you take one without the other.
It's not the same. The point is not the same, right? And so for me is, when you go back and say, I have this regret, you have no idea what you're asking.
Agreed.
Right? Because no one knows. Like, I don't know what's going to bring tomorrow. I may not even wake up tomorrow, right? I might not even wake up next week. Who knows? No one knows the future. And so that means that even if I go back like yesterday, a year ago, whatever, even if I change stuff, I have no idea if that's going to change for the better or the worse. And that's the point, is it's always unknown. So to dwell on the past prevents you from going to the future unless you have the right training.
Exactly.
Yes. The reason I want to bring this up is because I think it is really important to have the perspective of be able to train yourself to look for things that you would need, right? Because there's always going to be noises versus signal. And which one is going to be the correct signal, correct data point, versus the other one
Right.
just a bunch of junk. And
Agreed.
so it's going to make you worse if you don't learn how to train how to handle a sword before you pick it up.
I totally agree. I mean, so it's the self distance, right? It's zoom out in time, space, and language and look at it as if you're a coach or another person, like you're not trying to analyze, you're not trying to decide whether or not the outcome. So I have a rule these days. It's in my journal every single morning when I write it. I try my best to do this. I was doing it today, honestly, because today over the weekend on Friday, there was like a bit of a shit show that happened with one of my employees and a project that we were working on. It wasn't necessarily their fault, but it turned into a big fire that had to get put out, right? So one of the things I always tell myself these days, every single day, is I try to have like a clean slate every day. What happened has happened. I can't change it. I can learn from it and I decide what I want to do with that going forward. And I can decide, filter it through my values and filter, like, does this align of what I want to do going forward? Like I said, zoom out, zoom way the fuck out and act like you're the coach or somebody that's completely overseeing your life and go, okay, like, is this that important? No, it's not. Is it worth examining this? Like, what lessons did you learn? Okay, great. Now move on. Clean slate. Wipe it completely clean. You can't have the best day of your life unless you go into it with the right kind of mindset from the get-go, right?
Yes. And so to me, this is where I rest my case in this, because you are actually training your brain to say, well, the past could help me, but in this case, I want a clean slate so that my past doesn't hold me back. So you had the right training so that the past isn't harmful to you.
But it took a long time. But that's what I said. The past.
That's the training, because without the training, people is gonna be completely immersed in these.
And if only is the regrets, the power of the regret, like in a bad way, the bad side of the regret. But regret can be a good thing to power us forward as well.
Only with the right training. The sword is to protect, right?
Agreed.
Only if you know how to use sword.
No, I mean, you're spot on.
Because you imagine, like, if I give a baby a sword, what would you think happens?
They're gonna stab the first thing they see, or themselves, like, probably. I mean, shit.
What? Well, imagine that scenario. I give a baby, maybe I give Luca a sword. What's the chance of him hurting himself with a sword?
Pretty high.
What's the chance of
I gave Luca a butter knife the other day. I didn't even mean to. He likes to do the dishes, and the little utensil basket is like right up in the front where he can reach it. Mm-hmm. He likes to help me out with the dishes. I try to take all the butter knives out first before he takes out all the forks, and he just starts chucking them or hands them to me as I'm putting them away. Anyway, I missed one of the knives and I wasn't paying attention as I was putting silverware away. And all of a sudden he came running out, like going like this with the knife, like just and then he started stabbing the cabinet. He happened to yell "Mom" right at the same time. I don't know why. Alicia wasn't home, but I took this video of him where he's going "Mom" and like just like stabbing a cabinet. And I was like, whoa, that was weird. So I said it to her when she wasn't here. But to your point, yes, like he just started stabbing cabinets. He doesn't know what he's doing,
Right, somebody's gonna get hurt or he's gonna get hurt. That's like 99% of the time, and there's no way 0% that he's gonna offend anyone. No. But the thing is, before the advent of the gun, right? Countries and nations are ruled by the sword.
Right.
Because they can protect and they can conquer other worlds. You have to have the proper training. Same thing in the past. The past is like a sword. Without training, it's going to be 99% of the time will harm you. But once you can master your past becomes the sword to protect.
Lessons, powerful lessons.
Catapult you forward. And so the power of regret only can catapult you forward after you have mastered the art of the sword.
Yeah.
You have to master the art of your past, the art of the regrets. Without the training, it is detrimental to you.
It's traumatic,
because you're gonna be drowning in the misery and the sorrow of your past.
100%. I mean, it's like traumatic, right? It reminds me of The Body Keeps the Score. It's one of those things where trauma is the imagination thief, right? And regrets are traumatizing. Like you get stuck in the past, you get stuck in a hell loop and you can't get through it. Like you have to just accept it, learn the lesson from it, and then reopen your imagination to a future with a clean slate, right? Like it's like you almost have to create like a mini atomic bomb in your head every single day going like, look,
I
whatever
mean,
I do
sometimes
before
you
it
have
gets
no
wiped, you know?
control over it. You have no
Right.
control over the sword because the thing is, I think a lot of these books, like The Power of Regrets, and like this book, for example, it's going to give you some essence of the benefits of the sword. But what people don't realize that you cannot handle the sword unless you have a proper training, and it is very dangerous for people to take up the book like The Power of Regret and say, I think I should focus on my regret and do blah blah blah. But the thing is, if you don't have the mastery, chances are whatever you're doing, it is going to cost you to be drowning in the sorrow that you had in the past, and you won't be able to move forward.
Right.
Like I said, an example, like give a kid, little baby, a sword. There's zero chance he's going to use it to move forward. 99.99% of chance he's going to hurt himself. What I'm saying is the point of the probability, right? The probability of somebody using their past drama, their regrets, to propel them forward. To me, that's a very, very low chance. It's a very low chance because, the example I say, like, if you don't know how to handle the sword, the past, i.e., that's my analogy, the past, chances are it's going to harm you.
Agreed. Babies don't have riders, right? So babies aren't helped or harmed by the past. When do you think you get your rider, officially, that you hops onto your elephant?
The rider, you probably won't do that until you get to maybe 11 or 12.
Okay, so you don't even get a passenger on your elephant until like 11 or 12, right? So
yes.
like you're right. I don't have any regrets from when I was 8 to 10. Like, there's nothing that I regret when I was younger than 10 years old.
Probably. Like the thing is, when I chopped down all of my dad's trees in the plantations, I have no regrets whatsoever.
Right.
Well, I never reflect on it. I remember it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't remember, like, there was no event other than I just did it, and like that was it.
I just did it. My parents was really mad at me, and I got a whooping. That's all I remember. And from that perspective, right, it's like I don't regret it. Okay, there's no emotions to that, right? It's like, oh, I feel bad. Oh, I feel good. There's no emotions to that event whatsoever.
Because you're a blank slate every day when you're a kid. Like you just wake up and you do shit. There is no thought of past or future. It's just literally, I'm just gonna do shit today, and you're like, why'd you do that? I don't know. I just did it. Like, you don't have a writer to even have regret. Because that doesn't happen until later on. But obviously, there's got to be an evolutionary reason for the writer, because it can power can keep you safe. You can learn lessons from it.
But that's a caveat. That's a caveat.
Right. It can also be awful. Yeah.
You have to respect the soul, have to respect your past, have to respect your regrets. Respect it, treat it with care, understand how to use it properly. Because if you make a mistake and you're untrained, you are going to be in for a hell of a life.
Yeah,
it's not the good hell that I'm talking about.
It's the hell that Nora Seed was going through when she decided to kill herself. Like, it's just like one of those things where I go back to Daniel Pink. We're the authors and we're also the actors. We can change the story and we can be complete method acting, right? It's all the stuff that we talked about with Will Smith and all this other stuff in the past, right? Like, we can shape whatever we want to shape going forward, but you got to take a completely detached approach from your life every single day, and go, oh, okay, well, what could I, like, you got to basically be a 10-year-old, again, or a 5-year-old again, where you're like, in a good way, like, like a 5-year-old with intention, because that's when you're beavering on purpose, versus just beavering.
Right. But I think we don't need to go to that extent, because to me, I go through this journey with you, and my mind is like convincing me that the way forward, for me, at least for me, I can't speak for yourself, but for me is, as long as you understand who you are, right? And you manifest that person. That's as simple as I can put it. The rest of it is just basically like little attributes of the same thing. It's a manifestation of the same thing that people get a glimpse of an observation here and there, and they take it and put it together. But the real reason why it's good for you is because it goes back to the ability to manifest or express the gene that you have. To me, I'm convinced. I'm like utterly convinced that's the root cause of everything.
She could be wrong.
I could, but I'm saying is my brain convinced me
I know, I'm kidding.
that.
Is my point.
But the thing is, I know, and I told you, I know following a footprint. I know, like right now, right, how I feel. That's the only thing I know. How do I feel right now? I can't see the future. Right? I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen, whatever. I don't know. But the only thing I know, and I think everybody does as well, how do you feel if you're on this journey?
Right.
If you say, I am not happy with this journey, you're probably on the wrong path. I mean, the thing is, I know that you and I can feel the present. That's the only signal that I have, the only point of reference that I can use to judge whether or not I'm on the right track.
Regrets in the past and anxieties in the future, and like today is what it is.
Because if you can take today and say, okay, how do I feel today? How do I feel? Where am I at? Was it better than yesterday?
Right? Wherever you go, there you are.
But that's the thing is that's something you have. That's something you know. You don't know anything else, but that's one thing you know, right? Are you with me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
Right?
I mean,
because the thing
is not an easy perspective to have.
If you go to the point where you say, I'm working at this job, right? I hate this job. Well, that's your evidence right there. Your evidence that you don't like it. That's not your beavering. You're not beavering, right?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know how you feel right now.
Yeah.
Am I right? Like, do you feel like you're content, or you feel like, no, I'm discontented, or whatever?
Right now, I feel tired, but yeah, not discontent, just tired.
The thing is, these things are your evidence.
Right.
Whether you're tired, discontent, or whatever, these are evidence. Use that evidence to say, what does this evidence tells me?
I agree. So I've been running in the cold for the past, it's December 19th. So I've been running in the cold in the Midwest now for the past roughly month and a half or so. It's been at least 40s, 30s. Today was like 17 degrees out or whatever, and I was out running. And I'm noticing more and more, actually, my body feels good. I feel really dehydrated right now. But to your point, you'll notice it, right? Like I'm noticing it now, like how dehydrated I am in the mornings, and I'm not hydrating well enough before I go on these runs. I have to change that up. If I want any different outcome to feel differently.
That's my point, because you have the feedback.
Right.
And you say, well, I
can keep doing it. I will.
I can keep doing it.
Right.
Right. Or you say,
I
don't.
It's miserable.
The thing is, if you ask yourself, well, is this the kind of life I want? Am I getting better? Am I getting worse? You know how you feel. So to me, that's the only thing that we know for ourselves. And from there, you can say, well, I'm on the right path, or I'm not on the right path. If I'm not on the right path, then I have to change something to make sure that I can find who I am. Because if I'm a beaver and I'm in a desert, it doesn't feel good. I promise you, it doesn't feel good for that beaver.
Yeah, I agree. It's easy to understand when something doesn't feel right, and then to change course going forward and make that an active part of your life and retrain your elephant. I agree with you. But either way, that the power of the past, like me talking about the retroactively this morning of how I felt when I was running, has the potential to change yourself going forward. And that's all that we really need, I think, is the potential and a clean slate every day. In terms of this book, not going to recommend it. In terms of the lesson, I think it's a good lesson. I think it's like,
I think it's an interesting book. I just think that without good lessons, the plot is weak. But the concept itself is lame. I think the concept is good because it forces you to think about, okay, the decisions I made, was it the right one? People need to think about the things that they make decisions on. Are they happy with? Are they stuck in the past? Or the decision they make, if they make the decisions using the same matrix that have been used before, and they get them to the same places where they feel the same hated feelings or whatever, then you know the matrix is wrong. The matrix of decision they used to make that decisions is wrong. And so I think the concept, I think, is a good novel concept that I would, like to see. I just think that, I don't know, I haven't read the book, but, from what I'm asking you is, what happens to her after she went back to her timeline and do the thing? What has she found out? What has she done?
That's when the book ended. So we
if
didn't
she
know,
had
right?
that book,
So the Midnight Library at the very end actually collapsed, and that was when she picked up her last book and she went back to her original timeline, and that's how the book ended. We don't know what happened.
yeah, I think it's a weak plot because the ending wasn't, they didn't give you closure.
Well, it
Eat
did.
the,
I mean, she went back to
eat
her
the
timeline,
frog.
but all right. I'm officially exhausted for the night. So, what are your final thoughts for the reflection here? Any final takeaways?
Takeaways, this is my warning. You cannot handle soul unless you have training. So don't try to peel off the past without having a way to deal with it.
100% agree. Read The Power of Regret. It'll give you a how-to guide on how to overcome that and then put it into action, because I agree with you. I think it's a really good point. The question we can leave for everyone is, what key insights would you discover to apply to your future story if you explored your past what ifs and if onlys? Something to think about, something to write about, something to reflect about. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
Yep, another exciting episode tomorrow, so stay tuned. See you.
Good night.
Night.